Hi, welcome back again. It's Mr. Rootside here, and we're going to continue with our physics series. And what we're going to look at today is how to convert a position versus time graph to a velocity versus time graph. Now, in our previous videos, I went over exactly what a position versus time graph is. There was also a video on calculating slope. If you haven't watched those two videos, I suggest that you go back, find those videos, and then come back to this video, because what we're going to look at is how to take the information from a position versus time graph, which gives us charts displacement versus time. And we are going to take that information and put that onto a velocity versus time graph. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into it. As I said earlier, we can break this graph up into our position versus time graph into 4 sections here: A, B, C, and D. And if I calculate the slope of these of this information, or the slope of this graph, or these portions of the graph, that's going to give us or tell us some information. It's going to give us a velocity. So again, our formula for slope is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or in your math classes you might say that's rise over run. Okay, so it's a change in displacement over a change in time, and that's going to give us our units for that on this graph are meters per second. And if it moves up to the right, that's going to be a positive slope, a positive velocity, positive slope, and a positive velocity. If it moves down to the right, that's going to give us a negative velocity. So I'm just going to do just quickly reviewing again how we calculate slope, and then how do we put it onto our graph. So if we look at segment A, I know that that has a rise of positive 60 meters. Okay, so 60 meters positive. Okay, and it has a change in time of 10 seconds. And we don't have to worry about the positive. Time's always going to be positive. We never do go back in time. So that gives me a slope of 6.0 meters per second positive. Okay, so now that we've calculated the slopes of each section, I'm going to write them down here again: A, B, C, and D. So the slope of each segment, that's what I need to do before I put any of the information on the velocity versus time graph. So segment A, I know, has a slope of 6.0 meters per second positive. Segment B has no slope, it's flat, so that makes that 0 meters per second. Segment C has a slope of negative 4.0 meters per second, and segment D has a slope of positive 2.67 meters per second, or 2.7. Now when we take this information, we're going to plot this on our position versus time graph. So what this tells us is that the velocity that occurs in this segment, and I'm going to put time here, so for it, he travels, or the object here travels, 6.0 meters per second for 10 seconds. Okay, he stays still for 5 seconds. This segment here starts at 15 and goes to 20, so that is a total of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 seconds. And this one has a total of 15 seconds. Okay, so now let's take our information and graph that. So for 6.0, at 6.0 meters per second, it lasts for 10 seconds. So I'm going to start here, here's 6, and I'm going to make that last 10 seconds. Okay, so that's how we show our velocity, really simple. Then segment B, I have to start from where segment A leaves off. I go back down to 0, and that lasts for 5 seconds. Okay, and then for 25 seconds, he goes negative 4. So I'm going to go from here all the way up to 40. Okay, and I don't join these, so I don't have to draw lines here. Okay, and then again positive 2.76, so almost 3, so that's going to be right in around here. And that goes until 55 seconds. Right in here. Okay, and I know my lines aren't perfectly straight, but this is the information. This graph, these graphs here, have the exact same information in them. And the skill of being able to convert a velocity versus time graph to a position versus time graph, or position versus time graph to velocity versus time graph, is very important. Again, if you haven't watched those videos on calculating slope or how to read a position versus time graph, go back and take a look at those. So here are the steps that I went through in order to create that graph. So the first thing is I'm going to identify all the segments of the graph of the position versus time graph. So that's the first thing. Okay, then the next thing is I'm going to calculate the slope of each segment. And then I'm going to create a table with the values. Okay, and that would be velocity and time. And then I just have to plot the graph. Okay. It's not that difficult to do. Again, the biggest thing is that what takes the most amount of time is calculating the slope of each segment. Okay, so review the video, go back into this. Again, I didn't show you exactly how to calculate slope of each individual segment, but it's not that difficult to do. It's just a matter of practicing. All right, and we will see you in class. Science.